All right. Here we are finally, and this is the Top Form series. This is episode 2, the second installment of the Top Form series. And here we are. We are here to get unbroken. We are here to learn how to be unbroken. So if you are here already, put some fire emoji in the comment section. Say, I am here. I am ready to learn. I have an open heart. Um, Put it in the comments section and let us know that you are here. And secondly, take the link that brought you here, put it out there, send it to your friends, send it to your enemies, send it to your exes, send it to everyone. Bring everyone together. We are doing this together. We are doing this all together today. So take the link that brought you here, put it out there, invite people, tell them it's about to go down. It's about to, you're about to learn how to be unbroken. So, once again, this is the Top Form series, and you know how it goes. We've been talking about this conversation, we've been having these conversations over the years every single month, and we approach health and everything concerning our well being from the point of prevention. That's preventive care. We don't wait for illnesses to happen. We don't wait for situations to come upon us. We take proactive actions to avoid them. That is what we do. And if you've been part of this community, you already know that. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the meat of things for today. And we have a very special guest today. Last month's edition, we had Dr. Divine. She came on and she taught us so many things. This month, we have an interesting individual, someone who has been through the thick and thin of life. I'm going to be bringing him on in a second, so that he introduces himself and gives us a background to his story. Now, he's already behind the door, behind the stage, and I'm going to be bringing him on now. None other than Mark Thayne. Welcome to the session, Martin. Welcome. So,
Welcome.
this
Thank
is
you.
it. Welcome, Martin. Welcome. Yeah, thank you for being on here with us. And after the conversation we had yesterday in prep for this, I got more excited about the conversation we're going to be having today with these people. I got even more excited, and I know they are going to be benefiting a lot from this. Welcome once again.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you all today. I'm hearing an interesting beeping going on. Is that in your side as well? Do you hear
Yeah,
that?
I will fix that real quick. Yeah, I hear that. I'll fix it real quick. It's
It
just
sounds like a
something.
medical monitor.
Yeah,
It's like a heartbeat though.
yeah. Yeah, it's a medical device, but I'm going to fix it right real quick.
Okay. No
Yeah.
worries.
So okay. Yeah. So really quickly, for those who do not know you or who don't follow you on Facebook, and a majority of the audience, they haven't met you before, probably have not come across your work before. So I would like
Mhm.
to jump in with the introduction. So please give us a background story. Who is Dane Martin? And not just the name, not just what you do. Who are you?
Mhm.
What's your story? What has happened to you over the years? And let's just get started with that as we
Get to
get
know
into the
me.
meat of things.
Okay. Sure. All right.
Yeah.
So my name is Thayne Martin. My first name is spelled Thayne, and I live in beautiful, sunny Phoenix, Arizona. And I think Prosper, you were right in that I have been on a very unique journey my entire life, and it's interesting because out of that journey, out of the challenges that I had, came a way of living that has completely changed not only my life and how I show up in the world, but now I teach it for a living from my website, which is It's Pure Love itspurelove.com. So it's itspurelove.com. And that's what I preach. I literally teach people how to live in unconditional love using the most important word in the world, which is actually gratitude. Okay. So a little bit about myself. I again grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. And I had a normal childhood, I think, just like any other kid growing up here in the United States. But unfortunately, I was the unfortunate victim of a man that lived on my street that decided that his life was worth more than mine. And unfortunately for me, I found myself at the hands of what we would call a pedophile ring. So, unfortunately, in the religion that I was raised, there were a group of individuals inside of the church that I went to that decided that, their own personal needs were greater than that of my own. And so I found myself being abused as a young boy by the very, very people that were supposed to protect me. I think most people go to church assuming that once you get to the church that it's going to be safe and it's going to be a beautiful place for you to be and worship. But for me, that wasn't the case. I didn't always find it to be a place of worship. And in fact, oftentimes it was somewhat of I'm not going to call it a house of horrors, but it wasn't far from that at times. So I started being abused. I started being groomed, rather, at about 5 years of age, and I didn't officially, begin the abuse part of it until I was about 8. And unfortunately, it lasted for about 6 years. And during that 6 years, I was abused by more than one person and abused by a group of people that not only abused me, but they also abused other little boys that also went to my church. So, unfortunately, when you're being abused as a kid, you end up, kind of doing the best you can with the faculties that you had in your mind. And I did what I thought was the only thing I could do, and that was to keep my story quiet. And that's because the people that were abusing were threatening to harm not only my sister, but threatened other members of my family that if I were to say anything, that I would be taken from my family and I wouldn't have a family to live with. And so I kept my secret. And I lived in fear for about 6 years at the hands of those pedophiles. So unfortunately for me, that was my childhood from about age 8 to 14. And one of the unique things that happens in the human mind, and I'm just gonna take a quick pause here. Prosper, can you see and hear me okay? Because I can't see you, so I'm assuming you guys can hear me okay. Yep, still there. I can't hear you though. I can't. I hear you
Oh yeah, we
talking.
can hear you. We
Yeah.
can hear
Okay.
you. Go
Perfect.
ahead.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool,
it's
cool. I just wasn't sure. Okay, so the human mind has an amazing ability to heal itself, and more importantly, to protect itself. And that's exactly what happened to my mind. So, beginning at that early age, my brain started doing some unique things to protect me from the horrible things that were happening in my life. So, kind of think about it for a second. When you take an individual and a child and you put them in an extreme environment and they're told they can't tell anybody, and then the next day you have to go to school as if nothing happened. And so the challenge for me as a child was, how do I go about from being abused here on this particular day, and then the next day I have to go to school and I have to act as if everything is okay when it's not okay. So the truth of the matter is I developed something called dissociative identity disorder. Dissociative identity disorder used to be called multiple personality syndrome, and it is the brain's way of protecting itself from severe trauma. And that's essentially what happened to me. I began splitting as a child and forming different personalities so that I could engage in the world in such a way that I could hide my secret, but yet also continue to live my life in such a way. And, unfortunately, that meant that I lived a very peculiar life. I was fortunate to be a musician. And when I was a little boy, I took to the piano. And the piano became my best friend because I was being abused by people I went to church with. I couldn't tell my family, I couldn't tell anybody. And I had to keep it quiet, I had to keep it to myself. And so I did what any other kid did. I tried to outgrow it. I tried to outrun it. And, ultimately, it caught up with me. I was fortunate to marry the most amazing woman in the world. My wife's name is Joy. And Joy and I have three amazing children, three adult daughters, and I have six grandsons. But what I will tell you is that my life for many, many years was one of complete desperation and madness. That would be the best way to describe my life, because when you have multiple personality disorder, my condition was also such that I wasn't co-conscious, meaning that when I would flip into a personality, I wouldn't necessarily know of the personality that I had just been. So that made it particularly difficult when I'm showing up in life as a different person, but yet I'm also married to a woman with children and a career. So you can imagine the kind of craziness that put into my life, right? And then ultimately it led to, a lifetime of mental health issues, like severe, right? Not only did I have dissociative identity disorder, I was also diagnosed with bipolar 1, swings of manic and depression. And then I was diagnosed with severe ADHD. And I was also diagnosed with complex PTSD with complete dissociation. So that pretty much was how I managed my life. And it was one of madness for me. I had attempted to take my own life more than one time. Uh, it was certainly in the worst parts for me of my mental health journey when I felt broken and I felt like I would never be normal. Like that was the one thing that I would look out into the world around me, and I would see everybody being happy. I would see everybody living their lives, and yet inside of me was this deep dark secret that I had been abused as a child, and yet I had never been able to tell anybody. So my brain did what it was designed to do. It protected me by developing dissociative identity disorder. Well, you can imagine the kind of madness that creates in the life of a human being when they're showing up as more than one person. And it was very, very challenging. Not only for me, but my family, for my wife and for my girls. So all I can tell you is, my life didn't work. My life was broken. My life was one of addiction. I found that between the depression and the big highs and lows and the swings that come with mental health, I became an addict to prescription drugs. And initially it was, I like my psychiatrist, my doctors, it was, take this one pill. You're suffering from this, so take this pill and this will make you feel better. So I took that pill and then it didn't work. And so 2 months would go by and we would try another pill and that wouldn't work. And, eventually you find, a laundry list of medications that get prescribed that ultimately were the same pills that haunted me. Okay. And what I mean by that is I know that my doctors had very good intentions with the medication they gave me, but unfortunately, sometimes, especially in mental health, these drugs keep us trapped, and they keep us trapped in our minds. And the very drugs that are supposed to help us don't allow us to heal. And that's the real problem that we have, is because our brains become so medicated with different chemicals and things that were taken from outside the body that it makes it virtually impossible for the average human being to process and kind of heal themselves. So most people struggle to find their way. And like me, I went to the medical community, and their answer was prescription medication. So it was a pill for this, a pill for that, a pill for this, a pill for that. And the next thing I know, I had 7 pill boxes, right? 7 by 7, 49 boxes that I had to take every day to manage my day. I had 7 boxes of pills, 7 by 7, and that's how I managed my life. It was way too much, right? So ultimately, um, my life was madness, and it was one of big highs and big lows. I did manage to have an amazing career. I did very well in corporate America, but at the same token, while I was doing amazing, in life, behind the scenes, I was broken, and I didn't have the ability to stand up, and I didn't have the ability to find my true self. Okay. And that's ultimately what led to my decision, which was that life wasn't worth living. Right. And it was that last suicide attempt on my own that kind of shook my life up and made me realize that I needed a lot of help, and I had to start somewhere. And that was literally after my suicide attempt. That was the first time that I had told anybody in my entire life what had happened to me. That was literally the first
Hmm.
time.
Wow. I think I'm going to chime in here.
Okay.
First off, I've heard this story multiple times, but then each time you narrate it, it just comes new, afresh, and I just get to visualize the whole experience of having to go through all that for so many years. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot,
Yeah.
and then
I
coming to
kept
the
it.
point where you,
Yeah. I was
yeah,
just
and
going to
coming to the point
share.
where you Yeah, coming to the point where you realize that you actually need help. Now, there's something important I'd like you to talk about.
Mhm.
Now, at Lawson Healthcare, we approach health in 3 formats. That's the biopsychosocial model of health. That's the biological, which is the physical, which most people talk about. That's what everyone knows.
Right.
Biological causes, that's the maybe a microorganism or just the normal illnesses. All of them are biological. There's the bio, then the psycho, which is the mind, and then the social part of it, biopsychosocial model of health. That's the holistic. Now, most
Hmm.
people, especially in Nigeria, what they know is just the biological model, and then people that tend to believe something else just believe in voodoo and and all of that, that this could be the cause of their illnesses. So I want you to talk along the lines of this psychological part of health and why
Hmm.
it's important, and why it's very important to how important is it to acknowledge this part, and um, how big is it of a deal when it comes to health. And then after that, you really explain what mental health is, and then we move the conversation forward from there.
Okay. So, I mean, I think the most important thing about mental health is, who exactly are we? Okay. Like who are you, Prosper? And who am I? Okay. And inside of our brains, that's the most amazing thing, is how our brains are built and how they're wired to work, right? Because what I will tell you is this, I spent most of my life broken, dealing with big highs and big lows of depression and manic and all kinds of craziness, having DID, and my life wasn't working. And then, I started realizing that I felt like I was stuck. Like I felt like no matter what I did, even though I had found some traditional therapy that was helpful, okay, I did use EMDR. I did have a traditional therapist. I also had a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and I recommend those three modalities. But I would also tell you that there are alternatives to healing your mind. Okay, and the first thing you got to realize is that our brains have one function. The only thing our brain is designed to do, its number one job, is protection. Our brain is designed to protect the self, protect the human. Okay. Now, most people don't realize that we actually have 68,000 thoughts a day. 68,000. Of those 68,000, 95% are done automatically by the various automated systems that run inside of my brain. That means that only 5% of the time are my thoughts actually chosen by me, the person who is aware, the person who is observing. Okay, so think about that. 68,000 thoughts a day, 95% of them are processed automatically by our subconscious mind. So it got me thinking. Part of the reason that I felt stuck, that I couldn't stand up, that I couldn't change myself was because 95% of who I was and acted was coming from a subconscious mind that was polluted. It was full of garbage. My subconscious mind was full of negativity. It was full of ugly nightmares. It was full of things that I would see in my environment that would trigger me, and it would set my PTSD off. And the next thing you know, I would find myself hiding someplace because I was literally afraid. Okay, so if 68,000 thoughts we have a day and 95% of them are done by our subconscious mind, that is why I'm stuck. So how do I reprogram my subconscious mind? How do I change these things, these thoughts that are going through my head that my brain is automatically doing? Okay, that's when I started studying something called neuroplasticity. Okay. And neuroplasticity is how our brains learn. Okay. It is neuroplasticity that allows us to learn the alphabet, to then learn math, to put sentences together. That's neuroplasticity. And at its basic level, what's basically happening is there's synaptic connections. Okay. So our brains, when we experience things, the way that it gets recorded in our mind is through what's called synaptic connections. So these little like fibers connect inside of our brain like this. This is a synaptic connection. And the more we repeat things, we know the more likely we are to remember it. We also know that if we're experiencing extreme emotion, we also tend to remember things, right? So, Prosper, I'm going to ask you, is there any time in your life where you can think of something that happened in vivid detail? And if so, can you tell me what it was? What's the one thing you remember in vivid detail?
Oh yeah. I The first thing top of my mind, I think it's during my high school, the secondary school. There was this senior student. He was a bully, and he bundled me and a couple of other students to the hostel at the time, and he dealt with us. He was really bad. Um, as I'm talking about it now, I can remember the details vividly, and I was
Yeah,
feeling helpless alongside
yeah,
the other students
yeah.
who uh, took there with him. And it's very vivid. I can
Right. And you have
literally
vivid
see
memories,
the
right? You
picture.
remember,
Exactly.
do you remember the clothing that you were wearing?
That was a brown shorts and
Yeah,
a check,
right.
brown check.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember.
So so
I remember
isn't it
check.
isn't it interesting that when we experience strong emotion, we record the most vivid memory? Okay? Like here in America, we
Yeah,
think of 9/11, right? Everybody in
yeah,
America can tell you where they were at when those planes hit the towers. We all remember that because we all experienced that trauma together, right? We experienced trauma
yeah.
together. So I started thinking to myself, if 95% of who I am and how I'm showing up is done automatically for me in my mind, how do I change these synaptic connections that ultimately show up in who I am as a human being, right? Because as a human being, I'm just a collection of thoughts and stories, okay? As an observer,
Yeah.
in observing my life, I wrote stories, okay? You wrote stories as a little kid, but the problem is this: when we're little and we're writing these stories in our own minds as children, the problem is we don't have fully developed brains. And our fully developed brains don't happen until our mid 20s. So that means our long term decision making as an adult doesn't actually happen until our early to mid 20s. So think about how many things, how many stories you said as a child that were not true. Okay, that is where self-limiting beliefs come from, and they are formed by these synaptic connections that happen inside of our mind. Okay, so I started figuring out, how can I change my mind? And that is when I started looking into rewiring my subconscious mind using neuroplasticity. Okay, and I discovered one day, completely by accident, literally completely by accident. Okay. One morning, I took a picture of the sunrise and it completely blew me away. It was a beautiful orange and magnificent sunrise. And I took a photograph and I put it on social media and I posted it with a statement at the top that just said, "What are you thankful for?" And I posted on my social media, and lo and behold, I had all kinds of people that I didn't know commenting on A, how it was amazing to see positive social media, and then B, how amazing it was to see and be thankful. So I realized at that time that a lot of people were pouring into gratitude as a way to heal. And so I said to myself, okay, I've had so many people respond to this photograph. I'm going to get up every morning and celebrate the sun. Okay. So literally that day, I made a commitment that I was going to wake up every morning and watch the sunrise come up. And I can tell you that I'm on day like 430 now, that I've never missed a sunrise. Every morning I'm up before that sun comes up. I watch that sun come up and I celebrate that goodness every single morning. The second thing I committed to was, what would happen if I put gratitude in my life? Okay. So I understood gratitude to be please and thank you. And I was raised in a household where you needed to have manners. But I would say, I would tell you that I thought I had a grateful life, but I would also tell you that I felt like there was more to this word gratitude and I didn't understand it. Okay. So interestingly, I started by writing a list. Okay, if I'm gonna live every day and wake up and celebrate the sun, and I'm gonna lean into this thing called gratitude, I have to learn it. And so I tried learning gratitude by writing a list. And every morning I would get out a sheet of paper and I would write what I was thankful for. And it was helpful and it created warm, fuzzy feelings. But after about 2 days of doing that, I struggle with patience and I got bored with it. And so then I said, okay, there's got to be another way to learn gratitude and change my brain and rewire how I'm thinking. And maybe it's not a list. And so I downloaded an app. I found an app on the App Store. I downloaded it. It was called Gratitude 365. It's a good little app. However, after about a couple of days of using that, once again, found myself bored. Didn't enjoy it. And I was getting like, okay, this isn't going to work. I mean, I'm getting up every morning with the sunrise, but I'm not learning gratitude, not the way that I think I need to be learning it. And then one day, I met a person that knocked my socks off. Okay. And without going into a lot of detail, I found myself in a situation where I needed help. And I needed help from a stranger. And lo and behold, a woman named Carla stepped up at that particular moment. And she helped me in such a way that it deeply touched my heart. Okay. So, what I did that was different that I've never done before is I thanked this person in an authentic way. And what I mean by that is there are people throughout our lives that help us and support us throughout the day. And oftentimes we don't acknowledge them and we don't truly see them. Okay. But yet they provide things for us. So here in the United States, we have a lot of fast food restaurants. Most of the people that are working at fast food restaurants are there because it's an entry level job, it's paying minimum wage, and it's kind of how you get your start. I got to make a living somehow. I have a high school education. I don't have a college degree yet. I don't have a skill yet. I just need to make a little bit of money. So a lot of people go into the fast food industry. Okay, but think about how you treat people in the fast food industry and how often you order from them and they take care of you. And you might say please and thank you, but what you never did was actually see that person. Okay. You never truly saw that person. Above and beyond, I'm ordering a hamburger and you're delivering it to me. Okay. So, in this very unique situation with this person named Carla, who helped me very, very graciously one day, I decided to pour my heart into her. And so I started with her name and I just said, "Hey, Carla, I know you don't know me. My name is Thayne Martin. And, for me, I have been driving over an hour and 15 minutes. And unfortunately, I could not find a place to use a restroom anywhere. And as you could tell, when I came in that front door, I was literally about to lose it. But out of the goodness of your heart, you gave me the code to the bathroom so that I could use the facilities. So rather than humiliating me or making me order food, out of the goodness of your heart, you gave me the code. Okay. So, Carla, I want you to know that you didn't have to do that. But because you have such a good heart, you did that. And that graciously touched me. Okay. So at about this time, this woman's standing about 3 feet from me at the register at this restaurant. And I grabbed my wallet, and in my wallet, I had $100 bill. I carry $100 bill to wrap my credit cards because I don't like carrying cash. So I pulled out that bill. And I knew at that point in time that that bill had no value to me anymore, other than holding my credit cards, right? But I knew that that bill had value to this person named Carla. And so I offered it to Carla and I said, "Carla, here's the thing. I don't need this $100. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it to you because I know that you're the type of person that's going to take that $100 and spend it on yourself. Okay. And if you need that $100, and Carla, I want you to spend it on yourself because you've deserved it. Out of the kindness that you showed me today, that is the minimum that I can do for you. Okay. But something tells me, Carla, because of the heart that you have, that you're probably going to go a little bit further and maybe give that $100 bill to the next person in line that actually needs it, right?" So at that point, I let go of the $100 bill and she started crying and I started crying and I got the most overwhelming feeling of love. I've never experienced anything like it. Okay. My heart was racing. My eyes were tearing up. My skin was like just completely goosebumps. Okay. And it was amazing. And I'd never felt that. And that was my first experience with neuroscience and with neuroplasticity. And I realized that that was how I would learn gratitude. And so what I did was I figured out, could I do this more than one time? And if so, what would that look like? And so I went into the world. I found another person that I had never seen before that did something for me, and I thanked them in the most amazing and authentic way. And once again, I got this cocktail, this elixir of hormones that my body naturally released into my bloodstream. Okay. Well, here's the most amazing thing, Prosper. In just 3 days of using this experience, I found the most profound change in my mind. And there was literally a day when it's like a light bulb went on in my brain, and suddenly I was just abundantly happy. And no matter what you threw at me, no matter how negative, how ugly the world could be, it didn't matter. Okay. You know why? Because I had rewired my brain. I didn't know when I was doing it what I was doing. I had no idea that this little technique is actually a secret, and it can actually heal you and change your life. It can change your mind. Okay. So then I started teaching it to another person. And this person was just as messed up as me. And this person also had this individual had DID, he had paranoid schizophrenia, he had complex PTSD, bulimic, anorexic, self-mutilator, okay, and paranoid schizophrenia. Like the worst. Okay. And I taught him this technique. And he went out into the world just like me. And he began creating gratitude in the world with people that he didn't know. And sure as heck, in just a number of days, boom, his brain completely rewired into one of positivity. So now, instead of having a brain that sees triggers, okay, and we all know what triggers are. Those are those ugly things that come out of our field of vision. We hear it, we see it, we might see it on television, and immediately our brain is triggered of an ugly thought, of an ugly thing. Okay, that is a trigger. But imagine if you could rewire your brain through neuroplasticity and have your brain point out the positive things in life. Okay, that's what happens in the equation of life and abundant happiness, right? That is actually what I wrote. So I created a course. It is called The Equation of Life and Abundant Happiness. And it is a way of living that is rooted deeply, deeply, deeply in gratitude. Okay. And we have a number of phrases that we use to kind of stay centered in our positive energy. But I will tell you that once you master the technique, you'll use it forever. Okay. What I mean by that is I use this technique to rewire my mind. And in 3 days, I completely rewired my brain into one of positive neuroplasticity and positive thinking. So much so that when I would have a negative thought, it felt foreign and I resisted it because I didn't want the negative thought. And it felt weird to me. Why? Because my brain was now wired positive. I literally rewired my brain into one of love and goodness. And I did that by just being kind and gracious with strangers. Okay. There's actually a lot of science that goes behind everything that I actually teach. Okay. Behind the scenes, experiential learning is an absolutely amazing way to train human beings because we remember 90% of it. When we do book learning, we only remember about 10%. But when I experience something in the flesh, I remember 90%. So the course that I teach, it's called Gratitude Entanglement Personal Transformation, and you can find it at itspurelove.com. Now, starting in January, I am forming a nonprofit, and it will be called itspurelove.org. Okay? Itspurelove.org is going to be a nonprofit that is going to teach neuroplasticity and teach you how to rewire your brain in such a way that you don't have to pay for it, right? Mental health should not cost money, money, money. Okay. There's a way that we can all heal, and it's done with gratitude and it's done with neuroscience. And that's actually what my course is. So anybody that learns from me, you spend a little bit of time initially learning the technique. and I teach you the technique and how to use it and how to create goodness in the world. Okay. And then here's the best part. You're going to get a deck of cards. And in that deck of cards are 101 experiences that are designed for you to see how you show up in the world. Okay. Every one of the exercises is thought provoking. Every single exercise is designed to open up your heart, to open up your mind, and to open up the world that is in front of you that oftentimes you don't see because you're closed off. Okay. You get closed off, but by living your life and having these self-limiting beliefs. Okay. So I just want everybody out there that's listening, I want you to know that if your life isn't working, if you're struggling with depression, if you're struggling with sadness, if you're struggling with any of those types of things, I want you to know that you can heal from this. Okay. I want you to know that you can rewire your brain, that neuroplasticity is real. And when people say you can rewire your brain and change who you are, that is 100% accurate, but you're going to have to rewire it. That takes repetition while also experiencing strong emotion. So when you take my course, you're actually going to be experiencing unconditional love in the most amazing way while you are rewiring your brain. And that is actually how you change the format of how you think. Okay. It is rewiring your brain and teaching you a new pattern to use to think differently. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. I can't hear you again. There
Can
you
you hear me
are.
now?
I sure
I
can.
think you can hear me now. So that's amazing. That's amazing. People are making comments. I think they're learning a lot. This is Anne. She said that's awesome. Good stuff. Yeah. So real quick, part of your story, you mentioned some very scary things. I mean, you mentioned drug addiction, sex addiction.
Uh-huh.
You said, drug addiction, addiction, and suicide attempts. Some of these things are in your bio. So
Yep.
I know that's part of your story. What advice would you give to somebody that's struggling with thoughts of self-harm or struggles from addictive behavior? As they often go hand in hand. And I want you to relate this question to the demographic because here in Nigeria, it's a lot. A lot of things are happening, and the government. Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, there's just a lot happening every single day, and I think it's heavier here. The weight of things, it's heavier. So, what would you say to people who are trying to just give up on life and become despondent or
Yeah.
having suicide attempts? What would you say to such people since you've had such experience and you've come
Sure.
out strong?
I mean, I guess here's the thing I would tell you is that, I did not believe that I could heal from this. I was abused by over 50 people. I stopped counting in therapy because it didn't matter anymore. Okay. And my life was so messed up, I didn't think I could heal. I did not think it was possible. Okay. But I want everybody to know that you can heal, that you can rewire your brain, that you can do it naturally, and the thoughts that we have, understand this, that the thoughts that we have around self-harm happen in a moment. Okay, they happen in a moment where we're often overwhelmed. Okay, and so the first thing that I teach people when I begin working with people is how to breathe. Okay. The first thing I teach anybody is the importance of breath. Okay. And it's actually the most important thing I begin teaching somebody is how to breathe. Okay. Because oftentimes when things come at us in life and we get surprised or something ugly has happened, okay, we get overwhelmed. And when we get overwhelmed, we oftentimes we start making erratic decisions. Okay. And one of the first things I teach people is to breathe. Okay. Take a big breath in, fill up those lungs, and then let that air out. Breathe in again, let that air out, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay. Breathing will bring you into the center moment. Okay. Because one of the challenges that most people have is that they're truly not present in the moment. Okay. So, one of the most important things you can do to center yourself in the present moment is breathing. Okay. So when you're experiencing stress, when you're experiencing those thoughts of self-harm, I want you to take a few minutes and I want you to focus on breathing. Okay. Put your right hand over your heart. Okay. Let your hand feel your heartbeat. Okay. By putting my hand over my heart and breathing, I'm actually centering my body. I'm centering my energy. I'm centering the fear response that's in my amygdala, and I'm literally calming myself down. Okay. So, breath work is one of the most important things that you can do when you're struggling, and know that you're going to be okay. You can heal from this. I didn't think it was possible, but I now teach it, and I teach people how to rewire their brains because it is real and it is how you fix yourself. You don't have to have a lifetime of drugs to be happy. Trust me. I haven't used drugs in so long. I don't even know what that looks like. No idea. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, but I still can't hear you again. There you
Keeps
are.
going up. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now this other the next question is rather intriguing, and sometimes it's funny when we don't believe in something, and then some other time we begin to believe in it. Yesterday you talked about something when we were talking about gratitude and all of that.
Mhm.
You never believed in gratitude before, and I believe there are so many people here who would be like, "That's spooky." I mean, what are you talking about? Gratitude? What does that
I
even mean?
know.
So,
I know.
from your own experience, what would you tell those people? What did it feel like to you the first time you heard it? And then what would you tell these people after actually
Okay.
practicing it?
Okay, so first off, there's a lot of people see gratitude as please and thank you, right? We're polite. Like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. And we all heard our mothers tell us, right? Every mother told us you need to be grateful. How many times did we hear that as as a line from your mother or your father? You need to be more grateful. Okay. So unfortunately, gratitude and gratefulness, at least here in the United States, kind of got a bad rap. Okay. Because to many people, if I say to somebody, you need more gratitude in your life, they roll their eyes. Okay. And they're like, oh, great. Another person telling me I need to be grateful. Okay. Here's the truth of the matter is that there are studies that have proven time and time again how a gratitude practice put into your life can change your positive mental outlook. Okay. Study after study after study. Neuroscientists have studied this, and gratitude, hands down, can heal you. Okay. This is where I take it to a whole new level. Okay. Because I I live in gratitude. Okay. I live a phrase that I we talked about it yesterday. It's called dare to be second. Okay. That is the phrase that everybody learns when you take my course, dare to be second. Okay. And this is what it stands for, and this is why it's important. The word dare, because it takes courage to live in gratitude. It takes courage. Okay. It takes courage to have a conversation with somebody in the world that we don't know and pour our hearts into that person and let them know that they have touched us and they have helped us. Okay. That is why the word dare. The number two in dare to be second, the number two is a reflection of two things. Number one, gratitude is bi directional. That means it is both giving and it's also receiving, and it is done with two people. That's why the number two. The next word is be. Okay. B is a state of being. When you live in gratitude, it is a state of being, understanding that the needs of others come before yours. Okay. That is a state of being when we live in gratitude. All right. And then the last word that I teach in my phrase is second. Okay. And the reason I use second is twofold. Number one, it represents the position, second place. Okay. It also means 1 second, the here and now. And one of the things you'll learn when you take my course is that's the first thing I'm going to train you on is awareness. I'm going to train you how to be aware so that your mind is not wandering into the past, right? And when your mind wanders into your past, that's where depression comes from. When my mind wanders into the future, that's where anxiety comes from. So one of the first things I do when I train people is I train you to be present right here, right now. Okay? That's a habit. Most people don't know how to do that, right? So I train you to be present and aware right now. Okay. Once you master awareness training, then we move on to emotional intelligence. Then we move into the gratitude project. Okay. And for 3 days, you're going to immerse yourself in gratitude and you're going to be working with strangers. You're going to be working with your family and you're going to be working with friends. And from that, it'll completely change your life and it will completely rewire your brain.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That's amazing. So yeah, this the next question: what role has your wife played in healing and transformation? What role has she played in your healing and transformation journey? And what advice would you
Yeah.
give to spouse of someone who has been through a lot, the sexual abuse
Yeah.
and all of
Yeah.
that? What would
So
what
I
would you
think,
say to that person? What would you say to that person? And also, what would you say to people who are trying to heal about the relationships around them? Just speak to that a little bit
yeah.
more.
Yeah. That's a great thing. So the first thing I would say is I'm incredibly grateful and incredibly fortunate to be married to an amazing woman. My wife Joy has been with me through many things. And honestly, I think the hardest part for Joy was that I was struggling and she didn't know why. Okay. And I think one of the hardest things for those of us that have been abused as children is shame and humiliation. And shame and humiliation keeps us in that box of silence. Okay. And that box of silence is where loneliness starts. And that box of silence is where the deep, dark, ugly thoughts begin. Okay. So, one of the first things I would suggest to anybody that is trying to recover from trauma in their life is to be open and authentic with people in their circle that you can knowingly love and trust. Okay. I don't mean that you go out and you just pick somebody and you start telling them all your dirty laundry. That's going to get you in trouble. But we all know that there are people in our lives who will listen and who will just let you speak. Okay. And I will say in the very beginning with my wife Joy, I just needed somebody that could hear me. I needed to be able to speak and I needed to be able to feel that love coming back to me. Here's the key: without judgment. Okay. What I didn't get from my spouse, I didn't get judgment. What I got was overwhelming love and support. So, for those of you that are out there trying to overcome your trauma, the best thing you can do is find yourself a trauma buddy, somebody that has perhaps been through this that you can lean on during your own transformation, during your own healing, right? Because you want to lean on somebody that's walked through the path, somebody that can carry you when you need to be carried. Okay. And recognize that the journey of healing is full of emotions. It's full of big highs and it's full of big lows. And understand that healing is not linear. Okay. It means that you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs, and you're going to have some more ups, and you're going to have some downs. But over time, you will see a gradual growth to positive mental health. But understand that getting there is very jagged. So you want to put good people around you. You want to have good people that make good choices, right? Look at the friends that you're spending time with. Look at the family that you're spending time with. Are these positive people that are uplifting you? Or are these people that are detracting and pulling from your energy? Sometimes we have to make difficult decisions to let people go. That's also part of the process of healing. Next question.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I was just pulling up someone's question that was sent privately. So she's asking that how do you handle people who, when people around you uh, give off so much negative energy and in fact think you are crazy when it's just the mental health issues and the struggles you have and they are not supportive. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's, I know exactly how that person feels, right? Like that was me almost my entire life, feeling like I was the only one that felt this way. Okay. And feeling that nobody else could ever understand what it was that I was feeling. Okay. The truth of the matter is that you really don't start healing until you start facing. Okay, like I spent my entire life running from my trauma. Okay, running, looking the other way, pretending it didn't happen.
Are you there? I think your network just froze. Okay, so I think our guest's network just froze, so he'll be up in a bit. Um, he'll be joining back in a bit. So for now, if you have any questions, just put it in the comments. Put it in the comment section. He's going to respond to your questions while we wait for him to be able to get back. So if you have any questions, just put it in the comments and then react. Are you learning something? If you've learned something from this session so far, put what you've learned in the comments. Put it in the comments. So I'm going to be putting up some of the comments right now. Okay, so this is Anna. Anne, this is Anne. Anne is crying. Anne, it's okay to cry, and you'll be fine as long as you learn what Thayne is saying and you're putting them to work. It's fine to express your emotions. Abigail, Abigail says deep breath has been helping me a lot to calm down. Yeah, that definitely helps a lot. That definitely helps. That definitely helps. Anne says, this is divinely orchestrated. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad it feels that way for you. It feels personalized to you. Okay, okay. Uh, this person, Sidos Venture says, Gratitude is everything. Gratitude is everything. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, there's a question here. Once he gets back on, he's going to attend to the question. Abigail says, I never knew gratitude is this powerful. Of course it is. It's powerful, powerful, wonderful. Okay, keep on putting in your lessons, what you learned, put in the comments as we try to get him back on in a moment.
Hello. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I'm going outside.
Okay, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just tell me. Let me know.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah,
Okay.
we had a power outage here at my house. We have no
Okay.
electricity, so the internet went down. So I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay.
So I was able to call back
That's okay.
in
That's
on my cell phone.
yeah. All right. All
So we
right.
can continue if you'd
That's
like.
fine. Okay.
Apologize about that. Never had the power
Yeah.
go out on a Sunday
Yeah.
morning. That was weird. Okay.
Okay. There are a couple of questions here from people in the comment sessions.
Okay.
So I think we will wrap up with that. Just respond to the questions in the comments, and then we'll tie it up. I think our time is over. We've already outspent our time, but this is so good. It feels like continuing, just going on and on and on. It's amazing stuff. So I'm just going to read out some of the questions so that you respond
Okay.
to them. Yeah. So this is Anne. Anne says, how do I handle people around me thinking I'm crazy Okay, yeah, she also sent another message. How do I handle people around me thinking I'm crazy or thinking it's voodoo or spiritual problems instead of owning up to it and not judging me and addressing it as a mental health problem and offering their support? How do I handle that?
I think I would start with love. Okay. I know that sounds funny to say, but the reality is that when people were judging me and making comments that made me feel small, or felt bullied, what I found was that kindness and treating people with love is actually what they don't expect. Okay. Most people, when they treat people bad, are expecting you to defend yourself and for you to become nasty. Okay. So what I find is the quickest way to turn the tables on somebody when they're being negative or they're pointing the fingers at me is to treat them with kindness, love, and respect. And when you do that, it completely undermines their initiative and their directive. It's hard to be mad at somebody
Exactly.
when you're returning kindness back. You see? So as difficult as it is when you have people pointing fingers at you, the most important thing to do is to use kindness and be grateful coming back. And oftentimes I always found myself just being honest and being authentic with people. And what I mean by that is just share where you're at. Say, hey, look, I understand that you think this and you think that, and I agree with you that on the outside that I may appear to be crazy, but let me explain a couple of things that you don't understand. And then I would walk somebody through the challenges that we have when we're dealing with mental health, right? It's it's about being authentic. It really is. And not hiding it, right? Mental health isn't something to be ashamed of. It isn't, right? I mean, look, we spend all of the time of our lives in our heads, really. Think about that, right? We spend most of our entire lives in our heads. So if our head ain't right, our life ain't right. That's why we've got to fix what's going up here in the brain, right? And we can rewire our brains. And I personally didn't believe it was possible. I did not think that neuroplasticity was real, and I didn't believe that a person could literally change who they are in a short period of time. But it is
Wow, wonderful,
100% accurate.
wonderful, wonderful. Now, wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Okay,
Now,
it looks like
something
I
else
lost you
also
again.
very important. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Are you there?
Still can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. It's like you got to click a button or something on your end.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't hear you again.
Is it audible now? Can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me now. Oh,
Click the button.
okay.
Yeah, I don't. That's just me. I don't know if it's still going or I'm really kind of funny actually. All right. Uh, well, I guess I don't know if I'm. If it's, I can't hear you,
Can you
dude.
hear me now? Oh, man. How about now? Can you hear me now? You still can't hear me. Oh man, what is going on? Can you hear now? All right. Okay, there are a couple of glitches. I don't know. There are a couple of glitches, I think, from his end. Uh, let's see what happens.
I'm back.
A couple of glitches. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, good, good. Okay, let's tie this up. So, the question I was going to ask, which is going to be the last question, and then we tie it up, is this question. Um, when we talk about mental,
Lost you again.
I oh, man, it's be much better now. Should be much better now. Please, if you can hear me in the comments, say something. If you're in the comments and you can hear me, say
Yeah,
something. Someone is saying I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. So the question is this: you said you've been able to heal completely 100%, and most importantly, maintain that. You've been able to maintain that. So, what would you say to people who are struggling with it? They are up today, they are down tomorrow. Uh, what do you say to them that okay, this is what you are taking away from this session? Like, this is the most important thing you need to have at the back of your mind. This is, if you didn't remember anything from this session, just have this, okay, and then you sum it all up with that.
Okay, I would say that the most important thing to take away from this is lean into gratitude. Okay, not as a polite way, live it. Okay, live in gratitude. Put people, the needs of others before yours. Okay, and what's interesting is when you become second place, you will literally be in first. Okay, and I know that sounds crazy, but that's the truth. When you live in second place, you will find yourself in first place. Okay, and that happens by putting gratitude first, by putting the needs of others ahead of yours. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can never be first. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. It's a way of living. Okay, so take gratitude beyond polite, beyond please and thank you. Put it into your life, okay? And study neuroscience. That is the ticket to fixing your brain. It's in neuroscience and rewiring your mind. That's why I teach it, because you don't have to live with depression. You don't have to live with poor mental health. You can rewire all of that, all of it.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. This has been an amazing session. I mean, it's a
I
lot.
can't
It's a
hear you
lot.
again.
I mean, oh man. The people in the comments say they can hear me. The
Yeah, she can hear. I do
people in the
not
comments,
know. Let's try.
oh man. Please, if you can hear me in the comments, just say something. Join. Okay.
That is so weird. You can hear me now.
Okay, how's the audio now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just stay
Okay.
like that. Don't disconnect.
Okay. All right. All right. So, yeah, it has been a wonderful, wonderful session, and
I apologize for all the technical
it's
difficulties.
it's
I've never struggled so much.
it's been a wonderful session, and the knowledge has been eye-opening. And I'm really happy about the feedback in the comments. There's so many people in the comments giving amazing feedback. Someone is even crying, and I think mentioned that. Is it okay
Uh,
to cry? It's okay to cry, right?
It's absolutely okay to cry. Absolutely. In fact, when we cry, that's how the body cleanses itself, right? One of the best things you can do is cry, right? And what I always tell people is when your body is crying, you don't want to stop it early, okay? Your body will naturally come to a
Yeah.
pause when it's done crying, okay? So one of the best things that you can do is cry. You're literally cleansing your soul. So if somebody's crying out there, my heart goes out to you.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful session so far. I'm so happy that we were able to, put this out there. So for everybody who has participated in this event and the people who are going to watch later, and then everyone who is also in the group, we have a WhatsApp platform where everybody registered through. So for all of those people, how do they get in touch with you and the things you do? How do they keep
Sure.
in touch with your stuff? And
Yeah.
especially the
So,
new things you're going to be launching in
right,
January.
right. Okay, so the best place to find me is itspurelove.com. Okay, so that's itspurelove.com. Okay, itspurelove.com. And there's you can find me there. You can email me at Thayne, Thayne at itspurelove.com, and shoot me an email. And if you want to work with me, I'd be happy to work with anybody. I work on a donation basis, right? I've been fortunate and blessed in the financial world, so I just do this for love. I do this because I love people and I love to see people heal. So if you want to heal, reach out to me. Let's work together. Anybody can learn this.
Okay, that's wonderful. So the website is on the screen right now. It's purelove.com. So you
It's
can
like
visit that
the minute
and
you
see,
disconnect, it goes
right?
away.
Oh, uh, okay. Meanwhile, the website is on the screen. Just go there. It's purelove.com. That's where you can access his stuff and keep in touch with what he's doing. And then, like he said, he's launching
Yeah,
the
the
full
non
course by next year. You can hear me
yeah,
now, right?
yep, January 1. Yeah, so the nonprofit will be located at itspurelove.org. And that website will go up January 1st, and then you'll be able to click on it and order the classes and all the good things that we'll be doing from It's Pure Love.
Wonderful, wonderful. This has been an amazing session, and thank you so much,
Thank you.
Thane
It's an
Martin. Thank
absolute
you so
pleasure.
much. And then also, yeah, and also to everyone who participated, I advise you to, in fact, I recommend that you watch this video over and over and over again, and it's really going to have a lot of impact on you. Once we drop this call later this evening, I'm going to rewatch this video because I personally have a lot of things to walk through too, and I recommend the same for you. It has been an amazing session, and I want you to go out there and keep making the rest of your life the best of your life. Salutations,
Absolutely.
Martin.
Be in gratitude. Thank you so much. Take care.
Yeah.